What's going on, you perspiring pussy pumpers? Welcome to Grunt Speak Live, your source for the inebriated truth in a world gone to pot. I'm Toxic Male, that's Terrence Pop.
And today, we're going over some Wazoo monetary horse shit.
And in order for that to happen, we need an expert who just made a video in his garage with his neighbors mowing their lawn. To tell us what's up, we got Unchained Skid with us. How you doing, good sir?
Yeah, but the thing
Very
is,
good, sir. Thank you for having me.
he's a military guy.
Oh, yeah, we all got to start somewhere, too.
Yeah. So he's just like me. He doesn't give a fuck. I have information to put out. I don't care if he's mowing the grass. This is what we're fucking...
What is it with you military dudes and your whiteboards?
Because,
I'm just saying.
I've spent years and years giving briefings in front of, like, enlisted and officers. Yeah.
And there's the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And apparently we got Grey's Anatomy and Conan the Barbarian up on the wall.
That's awesome.
Hey, man, that's my gym, man.
Oh, and you got a screen
gym
grab.
in my garage, man.
There's a screen grab from Cobra Kai. Yes.
Yep. Absolutely. Got to stay motivated.
I dig it.
Yeah, and I have new shoes to show everyone today.
Yes, because everyone who watches this show cares about your shoes.
Oh, they're always up on a desk.
They care whether or not you look fat in your shirt, you know, because this whole audience, they're like me. They got a fetish for old man tits. I'm just saying.
That was savage.
I'm just saying.
Nice. Even in the Army, I'd be at my desk, feet up there, I'd be doing something, and they'd come in like, "You look like you're just always relaxing." I'm like, because I'm not getting shot at.
I mean, you really just got to weigh the cost to benefit ratio.
And they'd be like, what? And I'm like, listen, bro, if you get a chance to relax, you fucking relax.
Exactly. And that's how it rolls, man.
Because when they're shooting at you, you're not relaxing.
True story. Now, before we jump into the main stuff for the night, which I'm going to turn over primarily to you and Skid here, I wanted to make sure that we give a special shout-out. You can take a look at that board. You can't really see the 8 all that well, but we are now at 468, and it's all thanks to this gentleman here. We got an email.
Not going
to read his name.
Okay.
I was asked not to. In the... I don't even know how this... Looking at the totality of the world, I understand that now, in this former corpse of America, that I'm a nobody. But you truly helped me to embrace the suck. I literally just got done watching your Living Death video, and I got to tell you, it's spot on. I served from 2010 to 2017, 3 commands. I wanted to be a lifer, but the military forced all the good sailors out. I know I'm preaching to the choir. Although I was not a combat vet, despite my lack of trying to go down range, I served 7 years as a military police officer in the Navy, and I've been through more bullshit than most. Blue Falcon. I guess it wasn't all for naught. I did resuscitate an 18-year-old airman whose heart stopped suddenly. And it was overuse of C4, pre-workout, and cardio.
That pre-workout fucks people up. They don't seem to understand that.
Yeah. And a civilian infant who was basically dead because she swallowed a bracelet and got stuck in her throat. Oh, and I also ran into a burning Navy lodge to save a chief petty officer who decided to get drunk and cook Zatarian's ready rice in some sort of oil instead of water on the stove and lit that motherfucking room up like a UV light bulb.
That's called drunk cooking. And I've done it many times.
We've all done it. We all have.
Yes.
It's quite ridiculous.
It can be quite dangerous, too.
There is a Band-Aid on your shoe, by the way.
Oh, there is?
Yeah. Polska Bob just sent me a text about it. I noticed that earlier. I just wanted to see who was going to notice it in the chat first.
I was at the boxing gym, man.
Sure.
It was.
Got to take it off.
I thought it was because you had a hole in your soul.
Yes. Now, if it was a hole in his soul, it should be on the back of his neck like Marcellus Wallace.
Yeah.
There you go.
I hope that doesn't mean he's, going to get pounded in the pooper like Zed.
Oh, my God.
What else we got here? He says here, many, many other crazy situations. I've got to say that I've had several concussions due to getting my ass kicked, primarily in Japan on duty, and one in the Great Lakes. The concussion beats getting shot at by gangbangers, which happens more than it should have. Just look at the crime rate in North Chai, Congo. Mm-hmm. And the way you explain the living death is exactly why I try to free myself of the bonds of the thinking meat pills. I'm really reaching out because as of today, I lost my job as a mechanic at CarMax. You're going to love this part, gentlemen. Because my service writer decided to report me to HR because I asked her out on a date. Mind you, it was 3 months ago and never after that. They also said I was crazy because I threw a tool one time because I slammed my hand in a Ford F-150 subframe during an alignment. No shit, steel versus bare knuckle don't feel so hot.
No, it doesn't.
It was a setup. But what did I expect working for a woman manager who's besties with the service writer who reported me to HR? Honestly, I should have known better given the knowledge that I've learned from you, but I digress. I'm only a man, and I'm still working to overcome my biology because I can't even interact with modern women anymore. That's glaringly clear now. It's going to be a life without the opposite sex for me from here on out. The way it was described to me by the HR home office in front of the store manager as I was being overtly sexual towards her. But in reality, I asked her to go axe throwing, and I called her hot one time over text message. Mind you, all these messages are saved. It was a total humiliation campaign. The state of the Western world is a mess, and unfortunately now the job has forced me into an administrative warfare situation, so it's time to let the fuck games begin!
Absolutely correct. And he works as a mechanic. So
Yes.
chances are, look, you can find a job as a
He'll find another
mechanic
job.
again.
God willing.
Now, in regards to the company, you can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
You
to
can
get
mess with these people?
Oh, first of all, you write a bunch of complaints, anonymous, of course, and I covered that in administrative violence, to OSHA.
Yes.
OSHA doesn't show up, or when they show up, they're not leaving without money.
Yep.
Quite literally, you can do that.
They want their pound of flesh.
And you
every
can
time
also
they show up.
report the company to the state and federal tax monkeys. And you can do all shit like, man, there's all kinds of fucked up shit you can do.
There's all kinds of tax money.
Then you can make another complaint to the EPA stating that you used to work there. Of course, this is anonymous, and they used to tell you to pour engine oil down the water into the sewer. They'll go fucking berserk. They'll show up and like, and it'll be all fucked up. Now, you won't be able to take credit for that because, liability reasons, but in your soul, you'll know that you orchestrated that catastrophe.
You will know. And there's one last piece here.
All right.
I really wanted to reach out and thank you for bringing clarity into this veteran's life. So 468 it is. And I'll leave it at that. Keep up the fight because at least we have you and Toxic Male to bring a sliver of humor into the world that's been really overtaken by woke-tards and malicious people. Thanks, man. Truly.
Yeah. Listen, we have a problem with a massive amount of idiots, and then some of those idiots had built their own machine, and
They're just
they're not
cranking them
making
out.
more idiots. They're making more Karens because they're so stupid they couldn't even make the machine right. So you have some people turning the crank on the spank box,
Damn it,
idiots
Karen.
being produced, and right down the block, they're turning the crank on the other idiot box for all the Karens to come out who think they know what's best for everyone, and you need to do what I say or I'll get you fired.
Yeah, these are the people who called the cops on children playing in playgrounds in 2020.
Yeah.
Nice people.
Yep.
But it's not all good news, unfortunately. One of our favorite guests, Thumper the Redneck Comic, his dad actually burnt in just yesterday. Complications of Agent Orange. So we're talking long-lasting complications.
Yeah, he
So,
probably battled that for decades.
yes. He was just 70 years old, it looks
Yep.
like. Oh, no. Yeah. No, 50 years old.
70.
Yeah, and,
Oh, I know
and,
it's 70.
and,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm like, meh, I'm
and
just
here's
tired.
the real bad part here.
Have a blistering headache.
Is it took almost 18 fucking years
Yeah.
for the government to acknowledge that Agent Orange was horrifically carcinogenic.
I just, yeah.
And I know a couple of guys who worked on older airframes
Mm-hmm.
that used to, spray Agent Orange.
Yeah.
About a decade prior,
Very rough.
and it was still on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And some people were getting sick from it, as they were talking about. They had to scrap the whole fucking plane
Yeah.
because that shit is bad.
It's insane.
Now, here's the scary part: is the active ingredient in Agent Orange. You're gonna love this.
What?
It's in Roundup.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just so you know,
yeah.
there's like a couple of molecules difference. But look, down here on Earth, it's a cycle of life and death. All right? If you make shit to cause death, that's what it does.
Yeah.
And if you're exposed to it, you're going to die.
You're going to die.
So don't fuck with it. Well,
Were you fucking with it?
Well, that's what happened with the COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because, there's some dude and some lad like...
I'm just saying, it took him that long to admit that Agent Orange had bad effects.
Uh-huh.
How long is it going to take before they admit it about other experimental things?
Well, see, the thing is during the Vietnam War, it only affected just the veterans, so they could stonewall them forever.
That's how they roll.
But
Because
now,
you're meat for the frickin' grinder.
But this poison has been distributed globally,
Yeah.
and we're starting to see the really terrible effects of that.
Yeah.
So don't go for the poke and smoke.
No, instead you can go for a glass of this because I'm raising this to Bill Wells.
Here we go.
I know he's 70. I'm getting over a migraine, so you'll have to bear with me.
Okay, and I Thumper, don't hate me, but those are some classic birth control glasses there. Yes, I've seen many a pair like that.
Yep. Well, when ladies go for the uniform, you have to give yourself a bit of a challenge once in a while. It's like when Barney put on the overalls on How I Met Your Mother. You have to challenge yourself because sometimes the world is not going to challenge you as much as you will yourself.
Yeah, you're right. But I look at that. That's a military guy right there.
Yep.
You could tell he. I don't think he was in a combat job. He was support of some type because his hair's too long. And he's also in the Air Force.
Yeah, he was in Air Force. 1971 to 1991. 29,
Called it.
29 medals and ribbons. South Vietnamese Medal of Honor.
That was. That's a good run, bro. That's a good run.
God bless him. Godspeed. I wish him luck on his next adventure. All right, so we're going to talk about some money. We're going to talk about some money shit.
Hang on here.
Because, we've been... It's taken us a while to get caught up with the insanity that is the Biden administration, because we had to cover we finally hit on the Mar-a-Lago thing. We talked about the IRS agents, and now we got to talk about student loan debt forgiveness on top of an Inflation Reduction Act that costs, what was it? I had it up here earlier.
$739 billion.
Because that's how you fight inflation, by printing and spending more money you don't have.
That's right. Well, okay.
And I have a visual aid here. Hopefully it doesn't give you visual aids like Fauci. Okay. Now, because I've actually heard this argument from Leftoids, and it's one of my favorites. So I'm going to put it on the split screen here so you guys can see a little bit better. Now, see this, let's say this glass represents $1. Okay.
Or all the money in the United States?
No, this glass
$1
represents $1. And the wine inside represents the value of said dollar. Okay, now the Federal Reserve decides we need to print more money. So they double the amount of dollars. Okay. So now this is still technically $1.
But now you can only get one candy bar instead of two for $1.
There you go. And it goes on and on ad nauseum. And people there are leftoids who think, well, you just print more money and it'll solve the problem because that doesn't cause problems or nothing.
And those people got a gender studies degree that didn't have economics or, higher level math or statistics. Basically, they got a degree in bumblefuckery.
Yeah.
That's the only word I could come up with.
Jimmy Bones is like, are we going to get whiny Blake tonight? I was like, you think I'm going to mix wine with whiskey? You out of your mind?
I've done it many a time, and I was fine.
Check your blood pressure and tell me when you feel the lie.
I'm just telling you. I've never been a puker when it comes to drinking. So,
Well, I know. But to talk about this is just...
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. How
It
do
is.
you I mean, I know you have the whole business vantage, spend money to make money, but most of the people who spout off these platitudes don't even understand how money works. Skid understands how it works. That's why he made this whole video here, and I'm just going to play you a portion of it because this is freaking genius.
Yeah.
He's going through here and explaining, how the feds and the banks and the Treasury have managed to circumvent the separation of powers and create this whole circle jerk.
Well, hang on. They're not the only ones doing this.
Oh, I know.
We have the executive branch acting like a dictator now. I don't know. There's images of that on Hunter's laptop,
Maybe.
starring
Maybe.
Hunter.
And probably getting a foot job from his knees.
But they get swatted down by the Supreme Court. They just go right around and say, "Fuck it, we're going to do it anyway."
That's pretty much it. Well, because they know that bureaucracy slows things down, which is what it's designed to do. So they pass these mandates. They're not even legislation, they're mandates. And then they're hoping that enough damage is done by the time it gets injuncted by a court where they can push it through in a softer version next time and get more of what they want.
And listen, all of that would come to an end if this qualified immunity these lawmakers enjoy went away.
Amen to that. So I'm going to play a little bit of Skid's video here. This
All
is
right.
some good stuff.
Sorry, you got me in the weeds.
I know.
The bank doesn't want to keep the Treasury securities, so the Fed buys them. Now, you might ask, why doesn't the Fed just buy from the Treasury directly? Not allowed to by law. They're supposed to stay separate. However, they have this big open market shell game, basically. So really what ends up happening is the securities flow to the Fed, although there are other places that the Treasury securities end up, like China, but we'll get to that later. And inevitably, central bank reserves come back to the Treasury to spend on things. So the Treasury wins. The bank wins, because as all this happens, they take their cut. And the Fed wins, because over here, they've managed to create money and make the money system go. Now, who loses in all this? You, my friend, because these things here and these things here all have interest owing on them. So somebody has to pay the interest on this debt. That somebody is you, as you pay taxes to the Treasury.
Yeah.
That's fucking spot on, man.
And that's just a portion. This is a almost 29-minute video. I highly recommend going to his channel and checking it out. He only has 74 subscribers. That is criminally undersubbed. There's 580 of you currently watching on YouTube. There's a link in the Meat Gazer box. Go subscribe to his channel right now. I want to watch the subscriber count go up in real time.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. As you guys know, I was doing that firefighting job, the aerial forest firefighting job there this summer. And of course, there's a lot of time spent in the ready room just kind of waiting. And so I spent some of it reading because I was really curious, like what is quantitative easing? How does the central bank print money? Like what does it all mean? And I went through this book. I have nothing to do with this guy. This is Joseph Wang wrote this book called Central Banking 101. Like it took me a month. It's a great book, but I figured that from what I learned from that, I'd share with you guys. And that's what I made the video because, my God, it's a pretty impressive shell game. It took me a long time to sit there and go, how is this stuff actually going back and forth? At the end of the day, sure, it's simple, but it takes a bit of understanding. And I guess part of my frustration was I'd seen some documentaries on this kind of stuff. I'd been watching videos and looking at websites, and none of it was clear. It's like either explaining at a kindergarten level, so that's not helping, or it's too complicated, or they're not using the proper terminology. So I tried to make something that it uses the right terms for how things work. And I hope it helps. And it's very, very appropriate from what you guys are talking about today, because expanding the money supply is exactly what they're doing by paying off all these student loans and by that Inflation Act.
So all of that word salad you just spouted, what you were trying to say is you took this incredibly complicated financial book explaining the douchebaggery and you broke it down so a grunt can understand it. That's what we do here.
Yeah. And you just doubled your subscribers, my friend.
Yeah.
You doubled your subscribers. You're up to 146.
Holy moly! Well, thanks for coming along, guys.
All right.
Yeah, and well, I guess, and we could start by saying one thing right now. Blake, you said the Fed was printing more money. Actually, that's not what the Fed does. The Fed doesn't inject more money into the system. They just make sure the system works. It's the Treasury that actually puts more money into the system.
Well,
The U.S. Treasury is like it's the same. You could go back to ancient Rome, where the Treasury is where they used to keep all the gold, right? The Treasury is what takes the money in, and it's what puts the money out. And so every year since, you have inflation acts and this tuition paying stuff, the Treasury is spending more than it's bringing in revenue. So how does it cope with that? What is the deficit? Well, it writes IOUs, and those IOUs are called Treasury bills. That's how you print money into the system.
Yep.
Yeah, listen,
Now,
in 1980,
Oh,
Go ahead.
in 1980, I used to come back from middle school and swing by the hardware store and buy 5 candy bars for $1.
not
Now,
anymore.
I can buy 1 candy bar for almost $2.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember when, we can all remember when gas was like 99 cents a gallon, less than that. Like, you remember watching Die Hard?
Yeah.
And there's that shot, where Al Powell comes out of the gas station after he gets his Twinkies, and he looks up and it pans up and there's the gas station sign. It's like 67 cents. I'm like, and that was in California, Stan.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, don't get me started on the gas taxes, because they always start a gas tax telling you, oh, it's for the schools. Oh, and then you don't fucking know
Bullshit.
what happens to that money.
It's for corrupt bureaucrats to skim off the top. That's all taxation is for.
It's absolutely correct.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, the guys who really talk about this, like Aaron Clary, Cappy definitely knows about this. The other guys, George Gammon over at Rebel Capitalist. I mean, those are the guys to go to on this. But if you're just gonna print money, and we can describe what that really means later, but if you're just going to inject more money in the system, you do exactly what Blake had there. You're just making more glasses.
Yep.
But the goods and services, which is the wine in the glass, is staying the same. So that's demand side economics. It means that you're going to pay more.
Yep.
There's also a supply side problem, which we encountered during COVID when the supply chain starts breaking down. If you can't get that wine to start with, it doesn't matter how many glasses you have. There's no wine there. And so people are going to try and get as many glasses as they can to get that wine. That's supply side inflation too. So it's a pretty complicated system that if you're just going to keep screwing with it,
it's not going to work out.
And it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder why, if this is so important to our everyday economic existence, we are not taught it in school.
I know.
Because, it's the same reason they sent women to work. It's because they wanted women to be taxed, and they wanted the children to be raised by the state or indoctrinated. Let's just call it exactly what it is.
Yep.
That's why civics went away, women's studies and gender studies came in, and that's why as soon as, what were they called? I want to make sure that I get this right. Clinton signed these into law in 1998, the Higher Education Amendments. As soon as that happened, that's when you had general education requirements that had to include some sort of sociology or social science.
Okay, when I was going through OU, Oakland University, in 95 and 96, I was bitching about the fact that I had to take all kinds of fucked up classes just to get to my core classes, and it was just infuriating. And a lot of them were fucking stupid ass classes that, they'll make you a better, well-rounded person. I'm like, I don't want to be a rounded person. I want to be a thin person who does his job well. Fuck off.
Yeah. Exactly. We don't need any more Lizzos out there.
No.
Oppressed people who weigh as much as 3 healthy people who have private jets and millions of dollars. So oppressed.
Yeah.
So oppressed. And these are the people who want to lecture you. And, hire affirmative action people like, who's this here? What's her name? Karine Jean-Pierre. Says that student loan bailout will be fully paid for because of the work Biden has done with the economy.
That motherfucker has done nothing.
He doesn't even wipe his own ass. You think he's actually going to do anything with the economy besides bend it over and fuck it?
Yeah, and listen, I don't want to jump on the spokesman that does all the talking, but they hired that woman strictly because she's gay and she's a person of color.
That's exactly why she was there.
And you could tell by the job she's doing. It's
Yep.
not good.
So inflation rates 40-year highs, gas prices soaring, $740 billion Green New Deal bill dubbed the Inflation Reduction Act. And now he wants to cancel student debt, which let's just call it exactly what it is. And this is something that we've alluded to in the zombie apocalypse videos. It's vote buying.
Uh-huh.
And sooner or later, when you can't buy votes anymore with free shit and the free shit stops coming, all of these people that you have trained to emotionalize their politics are going to lose their shit. And the prisons, you won't be able to stock them anymore. They're going to have to open those gates and let those people out. It's going to be a freaking buck wild rodeo.
Well, the most infuriating thing about that, aside from just the economics we talk about later, is the moral hazard aspect of it. And so moral hazard happens when you make a choice that you don't have to be responsible for the bad consequences of that choice. So they take a bad degree, they get all this debt, and now you're not having to be responsible for that bad choice. If there's moral hazard, first of all, somebody else ends up paying for it. That would be the American taxpayer in this case. And also, it doesn't correct the person who made the bad choice in the first place. You have to be responsible for your choices. And what this does is this just introduces an enormous moral hazard. I mean, what does this teach the people coming up now? It's like, well, why not go into debt? Because the government will probably forgive the next round too.
Yeah, and this is going to further destroy recruiting in the military. Because one of the main reasons, at least the main reason I went in, was for the GI Bill so I could go to college. Now, why would somebody want to put themselves into that world and risk life, limb, and eyesight when the government is just going to pay your fucking college tuition for you? Yeah. So quite literally, 2 to 3 years from now, they're going to have to start conscripting people.
Well, and I can't imagine what it's like to be someone who just graduated 4 or 5 years ago, who worked their entire way through college, paid the whole thing off themselves, going, well,
where's my money?
Where's my money?
I know.
Why was I responsible? So let's be very clear then. If you are responsible and you stick to a budget and you take care of your shit, you're a sucker. Well,
Apparently.
that's a great message.
Well, think about it. That's the same message that Democrats have been sending to the population since the creation of the welfare state.
Yep.
We'll take care of you, meaning we will force at gunpoint the taxpayers to take care of you because we can't actually create anything. We can just reappropriate things without your consent, even
Correct.
though we're allegedly the ones who represent you.
Mm-hmm. And listen, we wouldn't be having as much of a problem we're having right now with the economy if we didn't ship all of our living wage jobs over fucking seas.
Yeah.
Because one of the main reasons we have so many people going to college and running into this is because, they've been told for decades, go to college, get a good job. But all those good jobs are gone. So now, like the good jobs, PhD. So now you have to run through $150,000 worth of debt just to get a shot at a job that has a living wage to get by. And listen, and this is just basic economics. If you're going to college for a certain job, you look how much that job is going to pay you going in the door, and then you make another assessment what you'll be making after 5 years. If your debt is 50% of that number, you will never pay it off. So don't fucking do it.
Exactly.
Well, that and the whole college system is big business, right? It's like Mike Rowe was talking about this from Dirty Jobs when he's saying, hey, there's a huge branding thing where it says you got to go to college to mean something, to be something. It's like, what about the trades? You can go into the trades and do the training that you need, apprenticeship as you're going, make the money. And these guys, first of all, we're missing tons of them. We need them like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to make a living, but it's looked down upon, disparaged, that kind of. why go to college when you should do that? I think at least we're starting to see a turnaround a little bit. The smart guys are like, screw it. I'm not going to college. I'm going to get a trade.
That's right. I mean, if you have any common sense, or if you paid attention in high school to economics, you'd be like, wait a minute. Okay, hang on. So I get a 4-year degree. That's going to run me 80, 90 grand in debt. Yeah, and it'll take me 4 years, and then I'll be paying that off for another 15. Or I go down to the plumbers union, put my name on the list, become an apprentice. Yes, I'm going to have to, they're going to fuck with me, and I'm going to have to do the shitty jobs, and I'm going to have to work extra hours. It's called fucking paying your dues. And then when you become a fully qualified plumber, you're getting $38 an hour. You multiply that by 2, and that is your gross. So 38 is what, 60, 72 grand a year. And the union paid for most of your training. You're going to have to come out of pocket for tools. Hey, while we're at it, let's have the government pay for everyone's fucking tools too.
Yeah, because that's not going to blow back on the taxpayers or anything.
What a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah, everybody looks forward to going to work and busting their ass all day to pay for somebody else's, lesbian underwater basket weaving master's degree.
It's absolutely correct. That's such horseshit.
Well, to pile on like that article that you had up with the spokesman there saying how, Biden had solved the economy and that's what's going to pay for all this. What she's really referring to there is what they're calling modern monetary theory, right? Is what these people are saying. Well, basically that the government can just print more money, and again we can talk about what that means, and you can just keep paying for everything because it's all based on the government's ability to tax, right? And it sounds great in theory, but it is exactly the same kind of thing as a Ponzi scheme. As long as we all keep believing that the next wave is coming, then that's fine. But if at some point that wave doesn't come in anymore, you can't tax anymore, there's no more base there, modern monetary theory goes away. And what it really depends on is what the government decides to do with it. If you had a very responsible government that used it every once in a while to get you out of some kind of trouble, okay, that would make sense. But when have you ever seen a government be responsible when they're basically handed a genie in a bottle? Here, do whatever you want.
Not a damn. Sell me government. I've been saying it for years. Sell me government.
Yeah.
They screw up everything they touch. And it's because they're working for their friends, themselves, and special interests. That's all.
Correct.
Inflation is essentially a de facto tax on the lower, middle, and working classes.
The lower third.
The people who have tangible assets like land, housing, precious metals, what have you, all of that stuff appreciates when they pull this shit. So they're fine. They know that they're not going to piss off their donor class by fucking with the economy like this.
They're fine until the masses can't feed themselves.
And then it's game on.
And then guess who's going to have their front door kicked in and bad things happen?
Yep.
I'm serious, because historically speaking, that's what happens.
Read A Tale of Two Cities. I've been telling you guys since we started doing this.
Sri Lanka right now is having that problem.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the mob of people rushing that fucking Capitol building?
Fiery but peaceful.
It was like 50,000 fucking people, and the people who are active in the government had their houses attacked and burned down. Yep. A lot of them are out of the country now or running for their fucking lives. So, I mean, listen, the normal people just want to be left alone. And then when you fuck it up to the point where that happens, those people get really angry. And most of the time, that anger is only going to be satiated with blood.
Yep. And these people live in such an echo chamber. That they pay attention to Twitter, they pay attention to the big cities where they have control and what their educational system is teaching. They think it can't happen here because they've got a lock on it. They've got the Federal Department of Education, so they can brainwash whoever into believing that the government is actually above them. Unfortunately, the rube side of the country, the deplorables, the ones that the Democrats love to say are, uneducated, cousin fucking swill, they're the ones with all the guns. So when the shit hits the fan, you're going to find out just how wrong you are. I don't want that to happen or anything. I don't want anybody to get hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to shed a tear if it happens.
Well, listen. I mean, I do not want. All right. So I've seen 3 wars come and go, right? And I know exactly what that's going to do to everyone, and it is an ugly fucking thing. I do not want that to happen.
Especially not on our own soil.
Yeah.
That's nightmare.
It's even worse.
Yeah, it's nightmare.
It's even worse.
It's happened once. It can happen again.
Because listen, once it goes dynamic, there's going to be casualties of just innocent bystanders just standing in the wrong place, wrong time.
It happens in every war.
It does.
It's
bad.
unfortunate, but it's a fact of.
And I'm
of
trying.
nature.
I would like to try to tone this down to where we just yell at each other and call each other bad names. I could live with that. All right, I'm cool with that.
Drinking and talking shit.
Yeah. I'm
And
cool with
part
it.
of it is the education, right?
Yeah, oh
It's
my God.
One of the things that you've been doing from the start is educating men on a variety of things. We just haven't be talking about economics right now, but the more we can educate people to what's actually going on in the system, it's like rolling back to what Blake was saying before is about how, you don't learn this stuff in school. You know what I find quite ironic actually is you can go to the Federal Reserve Bank's website and they will tell you exactly what they're doing. They're not hiding anything.
Yep.
It's all right there, but people are so apathetic and they start from so much ignorance that they won't even look. And so part of our job here is to educate. Go look at it. Go find out for yourself. See what's going on. Talk to your neighbor a little bit. Figure it out. Start it from here so it works its way up so it doesn't go crazy, so we don't have to be violent, so we can educate people and start changing things. But it starts with being interested. It starts with not being apathetic and figuring this shit out for yourself so you can go forward. That's where it starts.
Yep.
And Pop, then I hat off to you because you've been doing that from the start.
Well, I'm like, when I was a young boy, I didn't have a father. I didn't have any role models per se, and quite literally, I would have killed to have a dude in my life that could provide me with the information that I have now. And if let's just imagine what I could have done if I'd have had that figure in my life, like, you don't have dyslexia, fuck yourself, let's get this. It worked through it, you'll be fine. Yeah. All right, this is how this is done. Watch out for this. All right, if anyone tells you this, they're fucking lying to you. All right, those little lessons. All right, that you learn as a child, pay off mass dividends when you get older. Because if you don't learn those lessons, you make monumental fucking mistakes like I did, like try to turn a whore into a housewife, allegedly.
Allegedly.
All right. So, I mean, come on. Like if I had a dude, like, I mean, those women are great to ride on, but you don't want to. You don't want to come home to that every day for the rest of your life. This is not going to work out.
We were joking about that before the stream. It's you could actually apply a similar analogy to the government, so to speak.
Yeah.
A lot of dudes, they get married, and it's like going to the car salesman to get a car, and you take a test drive. You're like, oh yeah, that's the one that I want. This is awesome. We're gonna take it out back and wash it while we do the paperwork. You do all the paperwork. They take your money. Everything's all good. Here's the keys, and they bring you around a beater. You're like, the fuck? This isn't the car I paid for. Well, the paperwork's already signed. This is the car you got. You motherfuckers.
Yeah. You get catfished.
It's like our government too. You read the Constitution; it's there in black and white, exactly what it says. You know exactly what kind of a government we're supposed to have, and this is the bullshit we got.
Yeah, and listen, I've said this before 100 times so far. The longer a government exists, the greater the chance of it going off the rails becomes.
Yep.
And we are at the point where our government isn't even on the fucking tracks anymore. It's sliding for the cliff. And hopefully we can stop it before that happens, because once you go over the cliff, it's game on.
Game on.
Well, history shows, right, that every single fiat currency in history, and that those bills you have in your pocket and also the way your bank account goes, it's all fiat currency. It's all based on an idea. There's no gold behind that or anything else. So yeah, that bill's right there, that fiat currency. Every fiat currency in history eventually goes to zero. Every single one.
This is Canadian money, which is plastic.
Ooh, we got some 20s there. Nice, good. There you go.
It has the Queen of England on the back,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And even though
So stupid.
it is stupid, why don't they come up with their own famous people to put on their own fucking money?
I mean,
Easy now. She's our head of state.
Hey,
That's the way it is.
Well, but who are you going to put on your Canadian money? David Cronenberg?
I don't
Well,
know.
it's a parliamentary system, right? So the Queen is still the head of state. In the United States Republican system, the president's the head of state. Very different.
You know, if Trudeau had his way, drag queens would be on the currency.
Oh, don't.
But
Okay, you mentioned Trudeau. No, it's all no.
Oh, it pissed him off.
There's a picture of Big Ben on here. That's not even in your country.
That's not Big Ben.
That's what it looks like to me.
The guys don't want to hear
Wow.
about Canadian currency right
Well,
now.
I'm just saying.
Although
know,
we will
fucking-
we'll mention in the same breath, though, that everything we say here about the American system, and I made my video about the American system, obviously using
'Cause, we're the biggest players in this
Treasury
Ponzi
US
scheme.
because it's the biggest player. But every Western democracy pretty much works the same way with their central bank.
That would be Japan.
So Canada,
France,
Bank of England, Bank of Japan, European Central Bank, all of them, they all work the same way.
And you know what? You know who else did the same thing? Venezuela. And
Yeah,
Look where they are now. yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
you got issued a correction. That's not Big Ben on the bills. It's the Peace Tower in Ottawa.
Thank you.
I stand
thank you
corrected.
for-
There you go.
Thank you
But-
very much for correcting Pop. Thank you.
All right.
It wasn't me.
gonna
That
go
was
into
this
it, you know,
goofy
we don't need
roofie.
to start
Hey,
18
hey,
all
hey,
over
hey,
again here, but
I-
you know, it is what it is.
Listen, I used to drive through Canada twice a month, and I had to have money just in case.
Well, what do you have it for now? Did you go to the full nude review up there over the weekend or something?
No, I don't cross.
You
the border.
you cracked a smile for a second. I think you're hiding something.
No. I used to go there back in the day,
Back in the day.
like 20 years back. I haven't been there since then.
But now that the left doesn't know what women is, that's kind of a terrifying time to even
Can you
attempt to go to a
imagine
strip
how-
club.
You walk in there thinking you're going to a stripper club, and it's a helicopter club.
Swinging it around like Ric Flair on a private jet.
Oh my God!
It's
Oh, my
disgusting.
goodness.
Uh,
Oh, man.
But yeah, listen.
Why do we do this to ourselves? Western society is burning in so hard.
And like, here's another thing that now, in the defense of the Fed, that was put into place. A lot of the policies they use are there to, in theory, stop another Great Depression from happening. Okay, and a lot of those tools are interest rates, and then the flow of the money they allow in and out of the system.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all know what happens when you begin with a good idea and that good idea starts making money.
So we'll just pause for a second and pay homage to the fact of how great a branding exercise they did when they named it the Federal Reserve Bank,
Yeah.
because it's not federal and it's not a bank. And in fact, the Federal Reserve Bank, which has a charter from the U.S. government to make the entire U.S. monetary system, is actually a private company
Yep.
owned by private shareholders. And good luck finding out who they are.
And that needs to be
Exactly.
audited.
Yep.
Good
And-
luck with that too.
That's the
So
thing.
I mean,
That's right.
all throughout American history, you had various presidents trying to fight that off, and I can't remember my American history. I think it was Andrew Jackson at the end who said he was so opposed to. They were fighting duels over this, but finally, I think it was 1913. Then Cappy would know better. George Gammon would know way better. So when they finally brought the Fed in with the charter, that was it, and you're stuck with the monetary system you are right now. So you're right a little bit, Pop. Like, sure, the idea is correct, because back in the day when you had unregulated banks, it was the Wild West. Each bank would print its own currency. You'd have to move gold between them, and that was how you would move money around. And so the idea of having a central bank is that now we make a monetary system so we can move wealth around between the different entities a lot more easily and a lot more safely. Plus, we can put some policy into place, like you say, raise the interest rate, lower the interest rates, quantitative easing, this kind of thing. But what agenda is it serving now? That is the real question. I think if you talk to George Gammon, he would be the first to say, get rid of him.
Yeah, I listen. You are correct in the auditing portion, and it probably won't be audited until it crashes, and then that just makes it so much worse.
Yeah. I mean, what happened to state banks? I understand that there are some that are coming back now, but wouldn't each state having its own bank kind of, at least in theory, help to alleviate this problem? Because when you have, I mean, we know that the federal government is shit, but it has the power to cripple all of us. State governments and local governments tend to be a lot more efficient, and the laws that they put into place in their legislation tends to be what affect most of us on the regular. So do you think a state bank would be a way to,
Well, what I've read in a couple
back on track?
A couple of articles in the past is the federal government doesn't want each state to have its own banking procedures or banks.
Of course they do.
Because it makes it easier in times of strife for those said states to say, fuck you, we're out.
That's exactly it.
Then that's why you don't see them now. But they're coming back.
They better.
Because this country is dividing between the idiots and the responsible.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And the idiots, unfortunately, allegedly, there's 81 million of them. We probably know that several million of those people are dead, but we're not going to get into that.
or they're two-timing whores.
Most popular president ever.
Yes, I know what you're saying.
And I wanted to play this here because this is hilarious. This was Joe Biden's answer when he was asked if his student loan plan is unfair to those that paid them off. Skid was talking about this earlier.
Yeah, this guy's a fucking nut roll.
We know he's not really in charge, but I think that his frame of mind more accurately represents the average Democrat right now because, his butt's been wiped.
Mr. President, is this unfair to people who paid their student loans or chose not to take out loans?
Is it fair to people who, in fact, do not own multi-billion-dollar businesses? They see why these guys give them all a tax breaks? Is that fair? What do you think?
They're not tax credits. They're called write-offs. And considering you've been butt buddies with these people forever, you should know that. And because you wrote a lot of the laws.
Yes, you did.
Or at least you signed off on a whole bunch of the loopholes that put those into place.
That's right.
But,
Wow.
Facts.
Listen, we should
just wow.
Well, first of all, I mean, to make this stuff go away, there's a few things we need to put in place. Number one, we need to take out all the federal money out of the higher education system and let capitalism, steer the rudder, because the colleges are only going to teach what people want to learn.
Yeah.
Now all this federal money is flooded in there.
And they're not even putting it toward education. They're increasing the cost of tuition.
Absolutely correct.
Spending it on sports stadiums.
And raising pay for the
raising
people.
Pay for their, the department, typically the athletics department, because that's what brings in marketing dollars. That's like the free market side of higher education now. We used to be able to afford a higher education working a part-time job. Mm-hmm. Now, ever since Clinton decided he was going to do this, and what really cracks me up is that Democrats are the ones saying, well, it's not fair that you can't declare bankruptcy on student loans. You could bring that back and actually have some modicum of personal responsibility in whether or not these get forgiven, because then it would be on the lender and the individual. But
Yes.
No, it's guess whose fault is it that you can't default on student loans? The Clintons.
Yep.
Clintons made the student loans non-dischargeable. Two major acts that the Clintons did perpetrate have set in motion our greatest crisis. They repealed Glass-Steagall, allowing banks to go nuts and return to proprietary trading of the 1920s at the direction of Robert Reuman of Goldman Sachs. And two, they gave the banks absolute dominion over students by removing their right to declare bankruptcy on what they owe the bankers. No other class of debt has such an exception. And Hillary pretends to
Child
care about
support.
the people. No. Oh, yeah, child support as well.
Yeah, that's incorrect. It's child support.
Child support is also in there. And yeah, this is all part of the Higher Education Amendments of 1998, which I mentioned earlier. So there you go. Oh, and this bottom line right here, I love it. This has funded worthless education at outrageous prices, creating a welfare system for academics to propagate stuff like global warming to screw us with even more taxes. And then bankers can lend money to students and turn them into economic slaves for life.
Yeah. And guess what? These young people who didn't pay attention to economics and didn't do the cost-benefit analysis, they made a mistake. Guess what? You pay for your mistakes. That's just the way it works. I paid off my student loans.
Yeah. And what cracks me up is that government causes this problem and they think the solution is more government. Well, there's not enough living wages out of college, so now we got to up the minimum wage.
Yeah, and that's really working out now, isn't it?
Well, you can't declare bankruptcy on these student loans, so we're just going to have to forgive the debt. We're going to spring all this money up out of fucking nowhere. And it's totally not going to affect the so-called Inflation Reduction Act. Oh, wait. Yeah, experts have already weighed in on that. Surprise, surprise, student debt relief is expected to undo any disinflation from the Inflation Reduction Act. Not like spending $730 billion that we didn't have wasn't going to do that already.
Yeah, listen, we need to go in there and we need to get rid of a lot of this welfare horse shit.
It needs to go away.
And this robbing of Social Security to fund all of these kumbaya feel-good programs, that needs to stop.
Yeah. You want to solve the problems in this country? Shrink the fucking government.
Yeah. And allow people to work, start new businesses.
Yeah.
Look, all right. I was with a buddy of mine.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to ask one question.
In New York State, right?
Yeah. I'll write it down.
All right. He's starting a fucking bar. It's not that complicated. Took him almost a fucking year. He had to literally have 4 or 5 different inspectors come in. It was insane the amount of fucking regulations and horse shit he had to go through. And then once you open the bar, you have the government in your pocket 24/7, 365. What the fuck? What if you want to buy a bar and start it up? Why do you need to fucking all of this goddamn regulations? It's not that complicated.
Yeah. Regulations is really, when you look at it, the reason why we had Morning in America again for the first 3 years under Trump is because he went in and he broke all the toys.
Yeah.
He deregulated the free market and we fucking thrived. We had periods of deflation under Trump. Things were getting cheaper. Biden gets into office, re-regulates everything, declares war on the energy industry, starts printing money like it's going out of style, but it's those evil corporations' fault. It's those extremist MAGAs. They're the problem. Fuck off.
No?
And what right does the federal government have to regulate the free market?
They shouldn't.
No.
That's a sign that you have a government with too much power.
Well, that's central planning. That's Marxism. Right.
Yeah.
So
you're right. Right.
Which is intrinsically leftist, and don't let them tell you otherwise.
Yeah, and there's don't get me started on this, man. There's all kinds of shit that needs to happen. That more than likely it's not going to take place until after the huge bloody event happens, whatever that is.
Oh, I thought that happened once a month at your ex's house.
I don't know.
Or at least it used to, before her shit stopped working. Chlamydia and abortions will do that.
Dude, you're going to get me sued, bro. Stop, man.
I said ex. I did not say ex. Withdrawn, indignant. What is it? Expatriated, withdrawn, indignant, fornicator, entertainer. There it is.
That's it.
Why do I remember these things? This is like 11 years ago.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You don't remember your own acronyms. I'm over here like...
Actually, I need to get back up to speed on that if I'm going to do anything on stage.
Dude, we should do your next book after the Jericho Files. You could take a break. We just need to do a whole book of redonkulous acronyms.
Okay. Acronyms and observations.
If we can't fill like a novella with all of the weird shit that we've come up with in the last 10 years,
we're slipping.
We're slipping big time.
Yeah, you're right.
Slipping in it like walking into an adult movie theater. I started using
your vernacular when I started watching your videos. I started calling all the slot C and the peg D and all. And I found myself saying that. I'm like, he's in my head, man. He's in my head.
That's another thing when you use comedy. I'm literally, I say some jokes, you start laughing. What that really means is I am entering your consciousness, going behind the control panel, and I start flipping switches and deleting bad files and uploading better ones. And then when you notice me, I run away.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that we've had to get,
And leave a big image of a goat on steroids.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
or some of the other various images that we've created over the years, like Pop with his head on Gandalf, Nacho Libre, the head on the wedding dress.
Yes.
That was
I remember
class.
that.
Or if you watched Billy Von Baum's newest opus, a Double O Grunt new film,
All right, yeah.
GoldenEye, quite fantastic. I'm sure he's going to get a copyright strike for that. I hope he gets to fight it.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, we got it for like the 29 seconds of on Her Majesty's Secret Service. We just showed one of his videos. Like, come on.
Wow.
Yeah, we got hammered. What are you gonna do?
Oh yeah, the Bad Idea Ferry. That's a good one too.
Oh god damn, that was comedy gold.
You
right
you with your head on the ferry and then like a big old tubby like fat Punisher gut sticking
God,
out of a tutu.
stop! Stop! I made a mistake. I wore the pet. God damn you!
What was the one where you were doing a video about sex changes in the operation and you got hit in the
genocide
head with the chocolate milk or something? I remember that one. Oh my god!
Oh no, the chocolate milk that was challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
That was when we had to prove because somebody said it was physically impossible for a woman to get 500 miles of cock run through her 6 to 8 inches at a time. So he found out number of thrusts per minute, average penile length, average amount of ejaculation. We did all the math.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once you can figure out 1 mile, you can figure out 500. It's not that hard.
Exactly, and that's where 4.5 gallons of white milk and a half gallon of chocolate milk comes
I
from.
remember that. That was hilarious.
You can shake, wiggle, and dance.
That last half a gallon is going in your pants.
I got it in my eye. Oh my god.
Yeah. Hey, and I've actually we've got, I don't know, at least a couple dozen emails in the past 6 months where people are looking for season 1 and 2 and they can't find it on YouTube.
Somebody's getting algorithmically demoted.
Well, I'm just wondering, did we have them on another platform so people can find
Manosphere.tv. You can find first and second season of the Redonkulous on there.
All right.
Unfortunately, because YouTube likes to grandfather in their new totally fair and totally not vague and amorphous community guidelines, stuff that we did 10 years ago is now against the rules.
Yeah. So we had to turn them off and
Yeah. But, or should I say, a lot of people have been talking about wanting to purchase them on like USB or whatever.
Yep.
So if you guys are interested in that sort of thing, let us know in the chat. It's something that I can start working on when I get free time again.
Yeah, I got you.
Whenever that's going to be. Sometime in the unforeseeable future.
You are correct.
It is what it is.
I'm just trying to see what other crazy stuff do I have.
Oh, I forgot about this too. Yeah. Biden says blacks and Hispanics don't own homes in his student loan forgiveness speech. Oh, man, Skid just went full Picard over there with the Facebook. Woo! Oh, man. So if you ever wonder whether or not Biden was a racist fuckwit.
Here we go.
About a third of the borrowers have debt but no degree, and worst of both worlds, debt and no degree. The burden is especially heavy on black and Hispanic borrowers, who on average have less family wealth to pay for it. They don't own their homes to borrow against to be able to pay for college.
Oh yeah, they don't own homes or anything. Yeah, I wonder why the Democrats are losing the Hispanic vote.
Yeah. Well, this is just stupid.
And what cracks me up though is that you and I proved this beyond the shadow of a doubt in like season 3. We went through and we essentially graphed out single parent homes versus average income by race. Mm-hmm. And those lines are parallel. Asians are at nice and cozy at the top of the list with an 11% single parent rate. Whites are, kind of in the middle of the higher part of the pack with 25% single parent homes, But then you have the stunning and brave BIPOC community, 75% born out of wedlock, and then they wonder why they're poor. But that doesn't take into account all of the welfare and benefits that actually puts them up on a higher tier than most college graduates.
Correct. In fact, in the video System Surfers, a woman using the power of the vagine and dump a kid every other year.
The vagine.
And literally work part-time, get her benefits, and by the time she gets to about 65 and it's time to retire, she's out-earned the individual, the man who worked his entire life 2-to-1. And that doesn't even, and I didn't even take into account if that guy had to pay child support or not, because it would have even been worse.
You factor in child support. It's a whole other buck wild rodeo.
And like when I worked in the mortgage industry, I did VA loans, and I would get, using my marketing, anywhere from 16 to 30 leads a day. And you think, oh my God, you got to be making all kinds of money. No.
Yeah.
No, most of those guys had shitty fucking credit.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly because they're all paying child support to like ex-wife 1, 2, or 3. Sometimes all 3.
Yeah. And then in the real estate bubble, I remember you mentioned this. There were people who didn't believe you when you said that banks were being forced to give loans to people who couldn't afford them because of the Clinton administration's, laws, whatever you want to call them. And they're like, well, that's not what it's the banks. It's predatory lending. I'm sure that's true in some ways.
There are dudes out there that'll do that.
But holy hot.
I was not one of those dudes. I usually, like when somebody would say, hey, I need to buy a house, 30-year fixed. That way you know what your payment is today and what it'll be in 35 or 29 years and 11 months.
Yeah.
All right. But if you're like, hey, we'll give you the 5/1 arm with the option to buy, you're just like a guy who works at Ford. You're like, oh yeah, I could make that payment, but they're not telling you like 3 years down the road, you better cough up the entire amount of what you need to pay it off because there's a balloon at the end.
It's a good idea, Ferry.
It's fucking insane.
It'll be fun.
And it was called non-conforming lending. And so you get their credit report, you look at their score, and it would require, more money down, but it could be, they could happen to be a higher payment, but if you look at their credit and they have a 550 FICO, which is shit, and you could say, well, 550, you barely qualify. Why the fuck are you giving $100,000 to somebody who fucks their credit up to the point where it's shit? But no, we're going to give you more money. That's a recipe for fucking disaster.
And now they're doing that
same thing
on a federal scale.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Now, listen, I would love to live on the world where everything is kumbaya and shit just magically appears and you don't have to, bust your ass or do anything crazy. But we don't live in that dimension.
No.
No, we are here on the planet Earth where it's, do or die.
And unfortunately, if they keep pushing, it's going to be a lot of the latter.
Yeah, it's going to be bad, man.
It's very interesting you bring that up, Pop, because when I was doing my reading on all that central banking stuff, it turns out that the vast majority of currency circulating around the American economy is actually in the form of bank deposits. And those bank deposits come from loans. And the loans like you're talking about, when a bank loans, I didn't know this before I started off, but when a bank loans money, it's not like there's something sitting in a vault that's against that or they're taking somebody's deposit against it. They just totally make it up. They go, okay, yep, you're going to loan it to this guy for this. They type some numbers on a computer and that money comes into existence in the bank deposit. And that's it. And as long as the bank can maintain being solvent, in other words, they got more assets and liabilities. In other words, not too many of these loans fail and not too many of their assets or investments go under. And if they can remain liquid, so if somebody actually wants their cash out, if they want to move their bank deposit somewhere else, the bank can be able to handle it. They can lend out as much money as they want. And so you touched on a real problem it's not even at the level of these loans being forgiven and what the central bank is doing. There's a real problem with the banks creating so much of this money, especially, again, if the risk is being borne by someone else. If they make a bad loan and then they package up a bunch of these loans together in a security and sell it to somebody, gee, I wonder where the 2008 global financial crisis came from.
I know a lot of guys that stayed in the industry after the 2008 bubble went crazy, and they actually made an insane amount of money buying these bundled mortgages and then, ripping them apart. And especially if a majority of them have, gone under, they would take charge of the assets, repackage them and sell them, or they would contact some of these borrowers who had yet to do a bankruptcy and work something out, so they had income coming in. They made a lot of money, and the thing is that was a real niche market. And if you didn't have and we don't have the amount of people on board or institution that could do that, so a lot of these bad loans, they flushed them, and the taxpayer flipped the bill.
Well, and when the Fed was originally created, all it could do was buy assets from banks. But they expanded their mandate now, so they can actually buy assets from shadow banks now. So that's like the dealers, like the Bear Stearns, the Lehman Brothers, and stuff like that. But it goes even further. They expanded their mandate now because the American dollar is kind of the world's reserve currency. The central bank, can actually buy assets in other countries now too.
Yeah,
to keep the global system going. I
mean, you know what?
It's crazy.
Now, listen, I don't give a fuck about the rest of the earth.
Globalism is a cancer.
I only give a fuck about America. I'm an Americanist. Okay, and listen, that's just the way it is. And we should not be buying debt from other countries, especially when we can't pay off our own.
Yeah.
I mean, if you owe money to a loan shark,
yeah,
and he finds out you're doing stupid shit with the money that you just borrowed, and you're not paying the juice on the note, he's going to come and he's going to break an arm or a leg.
Yeah. I've asked you this question many times. If you loaned money to someone and you found out that they were, instead of paying you back, were loaning out even more exorbitant, sums of money to other people on spec, what would you do?
I'd be mad.
Beat on sight list, right?
Somebody would get tuned up. So typically when I loan money, I have no intention of receiving it back.
Yeah.
Because you
loan a lot of money to women, huh?
Well, I've loaned. That's a good fucking burn.
I'm just.
Listen. Let me grade that one. All right. So I basically set my own burn trap. Walk through the door, and I handed you all the information. You quickly turned it around, and that was. It's not quite an 8, but it's a 7.8. It
was an equal opportunity burn.
That was a good burn.
Everybody knows if you loan money to women,
you're not getting it back.
Especially women in your family, it's a gift.
Oh,
you just don't know it yet.
Absolutely correct. So now I don't really loan money to anyone. If they really need it and I have it, I'll be like, here you go. And well, what do you want me to pay? I'm like, just pay me what you can when you can. I'm not going to fucking bust your balls.
Take me out to the Shake It Club. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So it's about 9:08, so I was going to turn it over to Skid before we take a break, empty our squirrel bladders, and go to new tech.
All right, Skid, what do you got?
With all of this research that you've done about the monetary system and how it works, and especially with the way things are going globally, thanks to Beijing Biden and his his globalist butt buddies, do you have any suggestions as far as investments, pulling out money from the banks, investing in
land,
precious metals, land? What do you recommend?
So first of all, I'm just a pilot, right? The Air Force equivalent of a grunt. So I'm just that's just me. Sure, I got some engineering and science background, but I'm just a pilot, not an economist, not a financial advisor, nothing like that. I've just been doing some reading, and I wanted to share it with you guys. I think that in order to answer that question, we start our education at our own level here. What can you do to keep yourself in good trim? Well, first of all, don't be in debt as much as you can. The more you owe these guys, the more they're controlling your life. In terms of investments, for those of us who actually get to the point of having investments, God forbid, I'd say diversity, right? This is one place where diversity actually helps. So you want to have a little bit in various different things. So Blake, you had some great suggestions there. Maybe a little bit of real estate, maybe a little precious metals, maybe a little bit in some stocks and bonds. And personally, as part of my program, I diversify into lead as well. I like to keep a good bunch of lead at home just in case.
Are you talking about like cordless hole puncher lead or
Exactly.
or like okay.
Exactly.
I didn't know if you were just concerned about Superman peeking at your underwear, so I just like to make sure that I know what's going on.
No.
Yeah.
I think that it just behooves us all to talk and educate ourselves so that we can know things better. And along those lines, I would just like to mention, so I got the floor, if any of the viewers have anything they'd like to know more about, like I just kind of put that video together out of the basics for how money's made, then let you guys know, let me know on the channel, whatever, and we'll make some more videos and do some more stuff, because we need to get the word out.
Well, you use the words how money was made. It's more like how money is conjured.
Yeah, and in fact, even money's the wrong way to. It's how currency is conjured, because it's not money. Currency is the way you trade around value, but money actually holds value. Nothing in this system is going to hold any value.
No. If you want something to hold value, you're going to need precious metals or land. Because guess what? 30 years from now, it's still going to be fucking land.
Yep.
Now, if you have 30, 40 grand in the bank right now, my advice to you is go find a piece of property, 2, 4, 5 acres if you can. That's enough to put a homestead on. So if shit really gets fucked up, you can fall back there and not starve to death, because you can fucking take care of yourself.
Exactly. And one of the best things that you can do, just in general, not even money related, learn how to grow your own food.
And even in a general sense, learn everything. Learn as much as you can learn about how to. So food is one of them. Shooting, hunting, taking care of yourself, having a good community around you. That is true wealth. If you can take care of yourself in the bush, if you can take care of yourself in a community, and you have a good like-minded people around you who are like that, who have skills. This guy can fix a car. This guy knows how this works. This guy knows how to grow this. That's true wealth, because that is what's going to keep you going. So really, I mean, financial stuff, whatever. Where's true wealth?
What do you got there, Pa?
This is pdfdrive.com. You go there, you can download for free all kinds of PDFs, and a lot of them are fairly recent. I literally downloaded hundreds of survival books from there. How to hack, how to do gunsmithing, explosives, of course, from my books, and other things like that. All free. You should probably download this stuff and start teaching yourself before you fuck yourself.
This has turned into a prepper stream. I dig it.
Well, yeah. Just, it's always good to know stuff,
Well,
right?
the thing is,
Exactly.
what do you think is going to happen when nobody has any fucking money? You still got to fucking eat. You still got to have fucking water. You got to stay warm. You got to get medicine or whatever you need for your family. What do you think is going to fucking happen? Do you think people are like, oh, well, I'm fucked. I'll just sit here and die? No, they're going to get up and they're going to go and do shit to try to get that stuff for them and theirs.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to be doing that. It's chaos. It's going to be bloody.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to make it out the back end of that? Have a piece of land to go to. Educate yourself how to fucking feed yourself. Do your own medicine, and buy lead.
Lots of lead.
Yeah.
Because even if all this were to vanish tomorrow, the idea of Republicans and Democrats, there's still going to be lazy people out there who think just because you have something, you owe it to them.
That's right.
And they're going to try to come and take it. And,
or they're going to bitch, moan, and complain.
And you're going to need plenty of cordless hole punchers and lead.
And people. Yeah, there's safety in numbers. Listen, if you are part of a 1,000-man organization and individuals fuck with anyone in that organization, and all of a sudden they know that if they fuck with this guy, we're going to have 1,000 fucking people here, let's not fuck with that guy.
Yeah.
Let's find somebody else to fuck with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's safety in numbers. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, let's go mess with the soy farm over there. I hear it's a vegan couple. We can kick their asses with a stick.
Yeah, I just sent you that article about the vegan mother being tried for murder for starving her child to death.
Severe malnutrition.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because a vegan diet totally makes you look healthy. That's why they had to CGI muscles onto Natalie Portperson in the new Thor movie, because vegans can totally build muscle.
Wow.
You notice I call her
Wow.
Natalie Portperson. I'm trying to be politically correct.
I'm done with that. I'm done with it. I am glad they medically retired me in 2018 because I am not politically correct. Never have been.
Yeah.
And it got 3 times worse after my TBI.
Well, and now there's 468 people
Yeah.
who can benefit from the wisdom of your inability to censor yourself.
Or lie. Or lie. I'm not good at
Or
lying.
lie.
I'm not good at it.
You fat Punisher bastard.
Oh, God.
All right, so make sure, ladies and germs, anybody who joined us later on in the stream, click on that link in the description to subscribe to Unchained Skid. And if you're in the chat on YouTube, look for the links, because we're going to go to new tech. We're going to show you some better butts and read your super chats.
All right.
All right, Skid, you going to
Awesome.
stick with us for the rest?
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys in 5. Look for those links. And
Suck it!
refill. Oh, that too. I like it when the bitches swallow.